welcome to our deep dive into Laozi.
Ooh, excellent.
We're going to be looking at chapter 3 of the Dao De Jing today. And
sounds good.
You know, I really love the mix of sources we have. We've got the original text itself, obviously.
Well, of course.
But then we've also got this lecture by Dao Master Chu Meng Fu.
Oh, yeah?
And then this really cool analysis that compares Laozi with like a Western perspective.
I think those are going to really complement each other well. Because, you know, they all kind of touch on those same core ideas.
Right.
Simplicity, non-interference.
Yeah.
And then how letting go of some of our typical values could actually lead to more harmony.
Yeah, and that actually leads perfectly into like the first thing that really jumped out at me when I was going through all this stuff.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
It's this idea from Laozi that to keep society in harmony, we should actually not value these so-called superior people.
I see what you mean.
And it's so counterintuitive, especially coming from a Western background.
Oh, sure.
Where it's all about, like, you know, meritocracy, competition.
Yeah, it's like our whole system is built on that.
And Laozi's just like, nope.
He's turning it all upside down.
Yeah, and it's not that he's saying intelligence or skill is bad.
Right.
It's more like what happens when those things are like the only measure of a person's worth.
Oh, I see.
You know, and then suddenly
Yeah.
it becomes this society that's all like rivalry and ambition.
Yeah. You can see where that leads.
Then it can
get some pretty not great places, you know.
Cutthroat.
Exactly.
Dao Master Chow had that analogy about the soccer field.
Oh, yeah.
That really brought this home for me.
I love that one.
Because it's like, when winning is all that matters,
Yeah.
people start to do anything to get ahead.
At all costs.
Yeah, like even if it means like bending the rules or even harming other people.
And that drive to be superior.
Yeah.
Laozi sees that as a symptom of this deeper problem.
What's that?
Desire.
Oh, interesting.
When we decide as a society that these rare things or things that are hard to get are the most valuable things, well, then of course people are going to
It's going to cause problems.
be jealous.
Yeah.
They're going to steal.
Yeah.
There's going to be chaos.
And you think about it, it's like everywhere you look in the modern world,
Totally.
we're constantly being told what we need to be happy, to be successful, to be superior.
It's like consumerism is built on that.
Yeah.
That constant craving
Yeah.
for more.
More and more. Yeah.
And that's where you really see the clash between Laozi's way of thinking
Okay.
and capitalism.
Because capitalism is all about desire.
It runs on it.
You know, the newest phone, the faster car, the biggest house.
And Laozi's over here saying,
Okay.
true contentment comes from being satisfied
Yeah.
with what you already have.
So then how does this ancient philosophy
You're right.
actually apply to our lives today?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you ever felt yourself like caught up
Oh, for sure.
in that cycle of desire and competition where it just feels like things are getting out of hand?
I think everyone has at some point.
Yeah.
But, you know, to understand Laozi's solution,
Yeah.
we have to look at how he thought about governing.
Okay.
He talks about these 4 actions
Okay.
that a wise ruler takes.
Yeah.
Emptying minds, filling bellies,
Okay.
weakening wills, and strengthening bones.
So it's not about like, you know, brute force
Sure.
or control.
Well, not at all.
It's more about like setting the stage so that people can thrive naturally.
Exactly.
Now, I gotta say that first one, emptying minds,
Yeah.
that sounded a little intense.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, was he saying we should all just be ignorant?
No, it's not about that at all.
Okay.
Both the Western analysis and Dao Master Chow were very clear about that.
Okay.
It's not about erasing knowledge.
Yeah?
It's about getting rid of all that mental clutter.
Okay, so
The anxieties, the ambitions, you know, just that constant striving
that's getting in the way.
that keeps us from being at peace.
Oh. It's about being content with what is.
Yeah.
Instead of always chasing what could be.
Exactly.
And that actually reminds me a lot of
Oh, yeah.
mindfulness.
Totally.
You know, like the modern mindfulness practices.
Because they all emphasize being present.
yeah.
Letting go of thoughts that stress you out for no reason.
But then Laozi goes on to say that knowledge itself can be a double-edged sword.
Interesting.
He warns that too much knowledge,
Okay.
without the wisdom to use it the right way,
Yeah.
can lead to arrogance and this illusion that you can control everything.
Which, of course, you can't.
Right. And that Western analysis,
Yeah.
they really highlighted how different that is from the typical Western way of thinking.
Yeah. Over here, it's all about progress at all costs.
Yeah.
And sometimes that progress, without thinking about the consequences,
Yeah.
leads to more problems.
It's like he's saying, hey, you don't have all the answers.
Right.
Maybe that's okay.
And that brings us to wood.
which people often translate as inaction, but
But it's way more than that.
it's much more nuanced.
Wu Wei is about aligning your actions
Okay.
with how the universe naturally flows.
Oh, okay.
You act without your ego,
Okay.
without forcing things.
Okay.
Imagine a leaf
Okay.
floating down a stream.
Okay.
It doesn't fight the current. It just goes with it,
Yeah.
effortlessly getting to where it needs to go.
So instead of swimming upstream against the current,
Exactly.
you're just gliding along with it.
That's the essence of Wu Wei.
Effortlessly navigating obstacles and reaching your goals without the struggle.
Powerful imagery, right?
Mm.
And it can be applied to everything.
Wow.
Relationships,
Okay.
leadership.
How do you...
Think of a leader who doesn't micromanage,
Yeah.
but creates an environment where their team can thrive.
Okay.
Each person using their own strengths
Yeah.
to work towards a shared vision.
That sounds amazing, but is it realistic?
Well, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where we're always told to hustle and fight for success.
Yeah, it is kind of refreshing
Right.
to think about a different approach.
One where harmony and effortless action are at the center.
And that goes back to emptying our minds, right?
Absolutely.
Letting go of the need to control everything.
When you release that grip,
Yeah.
you open up space for something new,
Yeah.
a more natural way of being.
A more harmonious way of being.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
Challenging conventional wisdom, desire being the root of problems,
Yeah,
the sage's way of governing,
right.
knowledge as this double-edged sword.
Mhm.
And now, what?
Where do we go from here?
That is the question.
Well, it's important to remember that Laozi wasn't just talking about personal growth. You know,
Right.
he was also giving insights into how whole societies can be more harmonious.
Yeah, when we were talking about how the sage governs,
Exactly.
that Western analysis had some really interesting points about how Laozi's view of leadership is so different from what we see in the West.
Like, for example,
Yeah.
how Laozi thinks leaders should lead by example
Oh, yeah.
instead of relying on laws and punishments.
So if a ruler is virtuous and simple,
Right.
the people will naturally want to follow.
It's not about forcing people to obey.
Yeah.
It's about inspiring them to act in accordance with the Tao.
Which is so different from like the command and control leadership
Totally.
that we see so much of today.
It really is.
And that ties back into Wu Wei, doesn't it?
It does.
But like on a societal level?
Right, like Laozi thought a wise ruler wouldn't try to control every little thing.
Okay.
They'd create an environment where people could thrive naturally.
So everyone feels empowered to contribute their own talents.
And perspectives, yeah,
I mean, it sounds amazing.
it does.
But how would that actually work in the real world?
That's a good question. And that's where that Western analysis
Yeah.
really made me think.
Uh-huh.
Laozi's vision of a harmonious society is compelling,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really tell us how to solve problems like injustice.
Or inequality.
Right.
Yeah.
And those are things that Western philosophers really focus on.
So maybe each tradition has its own strengths.
think so.
Laozi gives us this framework for understanding human nature and harmony.
Yeah.
But we might need other approaches to tackle specific social and political problems.
It's not about picking one philosophy over another.
Right.
It's about using different perspectives to understand the world better.
So how could we apply Laozi's ideas to the world today?
It's hard to imagine emptying our minds and embracing Wu Wei
Right.
when there's so much going on.
So much noise, so much complexity.
Maybe the first step is to cultivate that inner stillness that Laozi talks about.
Okay.
It's not about withdrawing from the world.
Okay.
It's about finding a space within yourself
Uh-huh.
where you can see the chaos without getting swept away.
That's what Del Master Chao was talking about.
He was
through
not-
meditation.
Yeah, cultivating that presence in the moment.
But he said that inner stillness isn't just for personal peace.
Right.
It's also the foundation for wise action.
When your mind is calm
Yeah.
and you can see things clearly,
Yeah.
you can respond to challenges in a way that aligns with the Tao.
So it's not about ignoring problems.
No, not at all.
It's about approaching them from a place of clarity.
Yes, like finding the eye of the storm.
Okay.
You see the chaos swirling around you,
Uh-huh.
but you're not caught up in it.
And that's where Wu Wei comes in again.
Exactly.
It's not about inaction. It's about acting in a way that flows naturally, effortlessly navigating obstacles and finding solutions that emerge organically.
You're getting it.
It's funny how we keep coming back to Wu Wei.
It's a key concept,
It's so central to Laozi's philosophy,
but it can be hard to wrap your head around,
especially coming from a Western perspective.
where we value hard work and effort so much.
Maybe there's something to this idea of letting go of control,
Maybe.
trusting in the natural order of things.
It is a thought-provoking idea.
But I still wonder how practical Wu Wei really is.
In our fast-paced world,
Yeah, with all the pressure to achieve.
I think it's less about applying Wu Wei to every situation.
Okay.
And more about adopting a Wu Wei mindset.
What do you mean?
Letting go of the need to force things,
Okay.
to manipulate outcomes, to always be in control.
So you're saying
Trust the process. Let things unfold naturally.
act with ease.
Yes, effortless action.
You're saying surrender to the flow of life,
Even when things are uncertain.
even when things are challenging.
That's the radical part.
But it's also kind of liberating.
It is, and it brings us back to Laozi's emphasis on simplicity and contentment.
When we let go of the need to control everything.
We make space for joy,
Yeah.
for peace, for connection,
To the natural world.
to our true selves.
You know, I'm starting to see how all these ideas connect.
Me too.
Simplicity, non-interference, Wu Wei, contentment, harmony.
It's all about finding a way to be in the world that aligns with the Tao.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And that's the beauty of Laozi's philosophy.
It's not just a bunch of abstract ideas.
It's a guide for living a good life.
So after exploring all of these different perspectives,
Yeah.
what are your main takeaways?
What really resonates with you?
I think for me, it's that idea of like finding the balance between engaging with the world and letting go.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't have to become a hermit to follow Laozi's wisdom, right?
Definitely not.
It's more about finding that balance in your everyday life.
It's about noticing when you're clinging to control
Yeah.
or like forcing things to happen.
And then asking yourself, could I approach this with a bit more Wu Wei? And maybe that's the whole challenge Laozi's putting out there.
Maybe it is.
Find harmony and balance.
In the middle of all this 21st century craziness.
Speaking of craziness,
Yeah,
you know how we always end with a thought-provoking question?
I do.
I've got a good one.
Okay, hit me.
What do you think Laozi would say about our obsession with technology today?
Oh, wow.
Specifically social media,
Yeah, that's a good one.
given his views on desire and how it leads to disorder.
I feel like he'd have some pretty strong opinions about that.
I think so too.
Can you imagine him scrolling through Instagram?
Oh my,
Seeing everybody's perfectly curated lives.
trying to get all the likes and shares.
He'd probably just shake his head and say something like, they've created such a clever trap for themselves.
He'd see right through it, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
All those comparisons,
That constant stream of information.
the feeling that you're always missing out.
It's all designed to make you want more.
And that goes totally against Laozi's philosophy.
It does.
It's all about stillness and reflection and being present,
And social media is all about distraction.
pulling your attention in every direction.
It's like the opposite of everything Laozi was talking about.
So does that mean we're doomed?
I wouldn't say that.
Is there no way to have both Laozi's wisdom and technology?
Laozi was all about balance, remember?
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell us to throw our phones away or go live in a cave,
It's more about using technology intentionally.
not letting it use you.
So maybe setting some boundaries,
Yeah.
being more mindful of your time and your attention,
Like choosing to spend an hour in nature or having a real conversation.
instead of just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices.
So we're not just swept away by the current.
We decide how we engage with technology,
We can still benefit from it.
but we do it on our own terms.
This is all sounding very woo-hoo again.
Isn't it?
Moving through the world with intention,
Yes,
even in the digital world.
I like that.
It's actually pretty empowering.
It is, and it shows that Laozi's wisdom isn't just some ancient thing.
Yeah.
It's a living philosophy that can help us deal with modern life.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into Laozi.
It does.
I hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.
I know I did.
And remember, it's not about memorizing quotes or becoming an expert
It's about how these ideas apply to you
in your own life.
in your own way.
So until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep questioning
And keep seeking that balance
within yourself.
and in the world around you.